the bottom of the page?
No, actually, you know what? No. End of lot 9. So it's a lot and a half.
Have they made a formal objection?
Hold on. Is there an objection to that?
Yes.
Alex, could you distribute the transcripts to everybody? Does anybody at the table need a transcript? Almost everybody have a transcript? Missing one?
Never mind.
All right, everybody has one? All 16 jurors? All right. Mr. Sloman, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Sergeant, I have the video, the sole video that's on the DVD up on my computer, and I have it paused at 2 seconds on the video player. I know it's kind of a blurry and out of context image, but if you can, do you recognize this to be your body-worn video captured that night?
Yes.
Okay.
For the record, that's P3 is being displayed.
Yes. Correct.
All right, I'm going to actually play the video all the way through, and then I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions based on the video.
Okay.
So, starting it at 2 seconds.
Just for 1606 Argyle, 1606 Argyle.
number 2 in all black clothing fired into unknown vehicle. None of the victims down. Suspect last seen on Selma towards El Centro. 4245 9647.
Use rail code 6 at Selma and El Centro.
623 Roger, Selma and El Centro. 624 Roger.
What's the description?
Suspect, 2 in black, one wearing a white shirt, red shorts. Number 2 wearing all black clothing.
White shirt, red pants? Okay, send me this view.
623 tonight.
Some people are calling saying that there was a shooting over here at this corner. Did you hear any gunshots?
I thought I did hear it, but I wasn't sure. But it was 2 shots.
Okay.
It was a gunshot, it was 2 shots. But now, it was down there. It was down there.
Yeah, U3 Roger, I'm meeting with an MTA employee now at Selma Oregon northwest corner. He's advising he heard 2 shots in the area in the direction of Vista Del Mar and Selma. So yeah, okay, cool. Did you hear any arguing or tires screeching or peeling out, anything like that? Okay, just 2 pops?
Yeah, just 2 pops. You know, I was standing right there, I was screaming, I said, that's bad. I said, oh, that sounds like a shot. A couple of guns.
Yeah.
But, you know, it could have been that sound, but then that sound was happening. It did sound like that sound, but it was right down there.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks. He heard 2, possibly could have been gunshots in that direction, which is by Vista Del Mar. And didn't hear any arguing or fighting leading up to that. No screaming, no tires screeching, anything. And we go on Selma to Vista Del Mar. Vista Del Mar is that weird street that snakes around behind that club. Maybe over there? Yeah.
fighting?
This is the parking lot next to the stop sign.
We're gonna take your
now that we've watched the entire video all the way through, do you recognize, is that an accurate depiction of your activities that night?
Yes, it is.
Near the beginning of the transcript on page 2, and if you need me to go back to the video to refresh me, just let me know.
Thank you.
But at the beginning of the transcript on page 2, around line 7, and then continuing to line 9, you say, I think you're talking to a fellow officer, "Nothing, huh?" Followed by, "Yeah, it was only one call, too." What were you referencing in making those statements?
So I was asking another officer who, I don't remember it being so long ago, but if they had seen anything, they hadn't. And then the comment about one call, well, when there's a shooting, especially in a densely populated area, you get more than one person calling. And that's always an indication that you more than likely have a legitimate shooting, because when you get one call, and I dealt with this as recent as of yesterday, and I've been dealing with my whole career. We have people that suffer from mental illness that live in the city, and it's very real for them, and they'll call and say that they heard or saw something. A lot of times it's a shooting. So one call will come out because it's not actually a real shooting, but to them it is. So they call, and we keep track of those incidences, and we find out later on who keeps making those same calls. So when we have one call, especially in a densely populated area, it could be somebody suffering from a mental illness, or it could be a prank call, because we do deal with that, false reports of emergencies. When we have a legitimate shooting, and typically you'll have multiple radio calls, multiple people calling in, because you hear the shots, you see the shooting, there's witnesses, right? And then when you get there, you have people coming out, leaning out of the windows, pointing, that sort of things.
So when you say to the fellow officer, "Yeah, it was only one call," or words to that effect, are you essentially communicating right off the bat, "I'm not so sure this is going to be a real shooting call"?
Right, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Shortly after that, there's a paragraph between 10 and 14 that starts with, "All units, shooting just occurred." Can you describe for the jurors what that language is, or where that's coming from?
Sure. So this is actually the second radio call that came out. So the first call prompted our response there, and while we are there, this line here, 10 to 14, is an additional radio call. So now it's 2 radio calls. And so those comments there give a suspect description, a location of a shooting that occurred, clothing description of the suspects, a description of what happened. He fired into an unknown vehicle, unknown victims down, and then last direction of travel there, the last sentence, last seen on Selma towards El Centro.
Would it be fair to say that the first call that came in was not captured on your body-worn camera because of the buffering that you were talking about?
Correct. That call came out before I initiated my Code 3 response. You actually see me writing parking tickets. It came out while I was doing that prior to me activating it.
When you say Code 3 response, what does that mean?
Right, sorry. So Code 3 is a designation that we use to denote that we're responding lights and sirens. We call that our Code 3 equipment. So.
Okay. Now, you said that second call comes out with information that there are potential suspects on Selma towards El Centro, and it gives a description of the clothing of the suspects, correct?
Correct.
If you need me to go back to the video, I will, but do you recall from watching the video where you were when you received that radio transmission?
I believe I was actually at the intersection of Sunset and El Centro. I'm sorry, Selma and El Centro.
So you're at the location where the call is saying the suspects are, correct?
Correct.
So what did you do?
Continued to look out the window and canvas and see if there were those anybody matching that description of those suspects present.
Is it fair to say you did not see anyone that matched that description?
No, I did not. Yeah.
Okay. I believe on the recording you say, I'm Code 6 at Selma and El Centro. Can you just explain what Code 6 means?
Sure. We use these codes for brevity and clarity. It just means this is where I am. So if I say I'm Code 6 at Selma and El Centro, this just means I'm there present at Selma and El Centro. So they know where I am, right? There's officer safety reasons and then letting everybody know that I'm there.
Okay. So taking you back to that night, you received first call, Selma and Argyle. Second call, Selma and El Centro. You happen to be there when you received the second call. You've not seen what is supposed to be described there. First, do you, based on your long work in patrol, do you have any reason why it's possible that that information would come out, but those people wouldn't actually be there at that time?
Maybe a delay in reporting.
Okay.
Right.
So it's possible they were there earlier, and as it gets filtered through the multiple people to get to you, it's just not there at that time?
Correct.
And then you, as you're at that intersection, Selma and El Centro, you're not seeing these people. What do you do after that?
Well, that was when I approached the MTA employee who was seated in his bus, the MTA lot.
And what's the point of approaching the MTA employee?
Well, when we get to something as a report of a shooting, we have to do everything we can to determine what happened, if anything, right? When we get there, we have to we work with what we got, not with what we'd like, but we work with what we got. So if there's anybody in the area, I make it a point, obviously, to go talk to them. Hey, did you hear anything? Did you see anything? There are some people who are reluctant to call the police, but if they're approached when you get there, they may actually provide you some information to work with.
Okay. Is it fair to say at that point you were having trouble determining if a crime had even occurred?
That's correct, yeah.
After speaking with the MTA employee, he directed you generally to the area of Vista Del Mar and Selma, correct?
Correct.
And Vista Del Mar is that small street between El Centro and Argyle?
Correct, this one here.
Okay. But is it fair to say that even the MTA employee told you he wasn't sure if it was gunshots? He said possible?
Right, we all heard that on the video. He said maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Could have been something to that effect.
Okay. At around that point in the transcript, page 4, around line 14, you're told through the radio, quote, the PR from incident 4245 does not wish to meet. Can you explain what that means in layman's terms?
Sure. So prior to this, I had actually, and we saw that on the video, I had asked if the PR, which stands for person reported, that could be anybody who calls 911, that's how we refer to person reported. I asked if they would like to meet. I do this on almost every call because it makes sense to just meet with the person who saw what they saw and decided to call the police. So that's what I was doing there. Incident 4245 is just the last four of the incident number, which is unique to each call, so we can differentiate one call from the other.
Were you hoping to receive additional information from the reporting person? Is that your purpose in trying to meet with them?
Correct, yes.
And when you're told that that person does not want to meet with you, how does that affect your investigation?
Well, it's tough. I mean, I know there's a big expectation on us when we arrive to just figure it out on our own, but the reality is we need the public's help. We need to meet with people who saw what happened and determined they needed to call the police. There are witnesses, there are best means of investigation for sure.
Okay. When you approach the intersection of Vista Del Mar and Selma, so now we're about right where this icon is. Where did you go?
So we went to the, as was indicated in the comments of the call, the parking lot next to the stop sign is how it was described. And that was the information we had to work off of. And right here is a stop sign controlling traffic east and west on Selma. And there is a parking lot there, which we saw in the video. So
I'm going to stop you, Sergeant,
sure.
really quick, because when you say right here, you have to identify where you're pointing.
Sure.
So my recollection when you said right here, and correct me if I'm wrong, was sort of maybe just above where the icon is, the gun icon?
Correct. Northwest corner of Vista Del Mar and Selma, that parking lot there.
Okay. And I'm actually going to switch over to People's 2, this photograph. I'm going to zoom in where the same icon is, just to orient us. Would that be that same corner that you're talking about? I know Vista Del Mar is not labeled, but is that Vista Del Mar?
Correct. It would be this parking lot.
Okay.
On the northwest corner.
And if it's easier for you to describe where you went on the photograph, would you do that? If you want me to flip back to the map, People's 1, just let me know.
But this is fine.
So where did you go after you got to the intersection?
So when I got here to the northwest corner, I exited my vehicle and walked the actual parking lot on the northwest corner.
So are you saying you stopped your patrol car right at that corner?
No, I would say just north of mid-block.
Okay. Is there any point or reference you can point to on here where your car was stopped?
So on this map, I think a good approximate would be right above the N here on this Hollywood Levon on the map.
Okay. And so you drove your patrol car up this street and parked it there, correct?
Correct.
Where did you go after you got out of your car?
To the parking lot here in the northwest corner of Selma and Argyle.
On the video, we saw you and your partners interacting with someone holding a skateboard after you got out of your car. To your knowledge, did that person provide any details about the crime?
No, we didn't receive any information to work with from him.
Okay. On the video, we saw you walking through the parking lot. What was your point in walking through the parking lot?
Well, the comments of the call updated and again directed us to that lot next to the stop sign as it's described. At that point, we're looking for evidence of a shooting. In that specific scenario, vehicles with windshields and windows that are destroyed, flat tires on vehicles, damage to vehicles, impacts from firearms.
Did you see any of that?
We did not, no.
Okay. Did you find any victims in the parking lot?
No.
Would you describe the parking lot as nearly full of cars?
Yes.
towards the end of your video clip, we heard you and your partner addressing someone who was off camera. Do you recall that?
Yes.
If you can describe that person at all, who was that?
Can't recall what he looked like, but I believe he was a resident or somebody that was occupying that apartment there above the parking lot. And I can't recall, but from watching the video, he said he saw 2 guys, and then the rest you can't hear on video. Okay. But I do remember independently that he also didn't provide anything. He just didn't have anything to provide us that we could work with in terms of investigation.
So you talked to the MTA employee, you talked to a skateboarder, you talked to a resident at a building there. Fair to say none of them provided you details about this crime?
Correct.
Okay. At that point, did you know where, if at all, this shooting had occurred?
No.
How would you categorize the search that you and your partners did of the street of Vista Del Mar, just north of Selma?
Categorize or characterize?
Yeah, how would you characterize it?
I would say typical of responding to a shooting call. We're looking for victims that are down. We're looking for witnesses who can direct us to suspects or victims who are down. We're looking for damage to vehicles or buildings, impacts, right, from gunfire, those sorts of things.
Would you say that you and your partners searched every inch of that street?
We didn't search every inch of that street, no.
Okay.
Can't say that.
As you sit here, can you say to a certainty that there was not a fired cartridge case in that street on Vista Del Mar?
I can't say that I may have missed something. It's possible.
Okay. The last exhibit I have from Your Honor, Justice Marcus equals 5. Is it reasonable, in your opinion, to believe that if there was a expended cartridge casing in that street, that you may have missed it?
Yes.
Oh. What is the People's 5?
People's 5 is another map, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Is it a map or is it an aerial photograph?
It's a map. And it
There was
has...
objection to that last question.
Can we have the grounds with the objection?
Sure.
Read the question back, please.
That's speculation.
Is it reasonable, in your opinion, to believe that if there was an expended cartridge casing in that street that you may have missed it?
Stay. As phrased.
In your experience working patrol, is it reasonable that sometimes you will respond to a shooting and miss certain evidence such as fired cartridge casings?
That's correct.
And if you miss a fired cartridge case, how is it that you could say, yeah, on that instance, I missed that piece of evidence or something like that?
You mean how would I find out later?
Yes.
A couple ways. I mean, somebody finds it the next day when the light's up and they see it, and they call the police and say, hey, this doesn't look right. That's one way.
Has that happened in your career?
I have heard of that happening. It hasn't happened to me.
Is it typical that after a case is investigated by a patrol officer, it's passed on to a detective?
Yes.
And have you heard of occasions where the detectives will go back and search an area and find something that patrol officers missed?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. now I'm going to equals 5, the map, and it's annotated with 4 different colored arrows. If I may,
Yes.
Sergeant, the area of equals 5 here, you've already described this to be the area that you responded to that night, correct?
Correct.
Would you agree that the arrows generally reflect the path that you took as you were driving around in your patrol car as we watched it on the body of the video?
Yes.
So would you have started down here where the number 1 is, headed north on El Centro, made a left turn on Selma, then come south on Argyle, and made a right turn on Sunset?
Right, westbound turn on the Sunset, yes.
Okay. And when you were on Sunset, did you make a U-turn and then head back up Argyle?
Correct.
Did you cross Selma and go into the bus depot on the corner of Argyle and Selma?
Correct.
And then did you come out and go to Vista Del Mar and then go north on Vista Del Mar?
Correct.
And would the yellow generally reflect it's very hard to see, but would that generally reflect where you walked through the parking lot?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Let me see if the sidebar not on the record, please. Where's you?
Thank you. I'm going to go up to a certain part, Your Honor.
Say again?
I'm going to go up to a certain part. That part you can break on. I think it should take us right to about 4.
Well, we have to break the floor.
Yeah, I'm saying. I might be a few minutes short of 4, but we'll give it a whirl here. Hey, Sergeant, how are you?
Good, sir. How you doing?
Just a couple things. This whole line of questioning about the possibility that you may have missed something. Remember that line of questioning the prosecutor just asked you about?
Yes, sir.
You're not trained to miss something. You're trained to find things, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, when you say you may have missed something, there were 7 of you guys responding officers at the scene, correct?
Did you say 7?
Yeah.
I don't think it was 7, but
Really? Okay, how many do you think there were?
I think 3 total.
Oh, no. Did you see the video?
I did. I only saw 2 others, including myself. That's 3.
How about Brian Uvivics? You know him?
Kijovics? Yes.
Was he there?
I believe so, yes.
How about John Cook?
Yes.
Okay. Gerardo Sweeney?
Don't recall.
Okay. Steve Lawson?
Also same.
Rocky Martinez?
Same.
Okay. How about Adrian Rodriguez?
Don't remember seeing him.
And Jose Anila?
Quintanilla? No, sir.
You don't remember seeing him either?
No.
So, anyway, there is camera footage of other officers, not just yours, right?
Correct, yeah.
Anyway, most for sure, you don't know if you missed something, right?
I don't think anybody would know if they missed something, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What was the first time you discussed the possibility that maybe you missed something with the prosecutors? What was the first time you discussed that?
I mean, today we reviewed stuff, right?
I don't know. I wasn't there today.
Correct.
But it was the first time you discussed maybe I missed something.
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Oh, this was in 2021.
Huh. And what's it now?
This is 2025.
Okay. So, the first time since 2021, today is the first time you discussed with the prosecutors, oh, I may have missed something.
Correct.
And the first time you met with them, anyone in this case, was on Wednesday, right?
No, today is the first time I met with them. Spoke with them on the phone
On Wednesday?
Wednesday, I believe, about scheduling and about appearing
Okay.
to court.
So today's the first time you met with them?
Met with them in person, yes.
And the first time you discussed testimony was today?
Yes.
You didn't discuss it on Wednesday?
No, we discussed scheduling and what the case was about. That's it.
All right. You take your duties seriously. By the way, let me stop for a second. You were asked what you were looking for hypothetically when you arrived at the scene of a call for a shooting. You recall that?
Yes.
And you said victims, yes?
Yes.
Damage to property, correct?
Correct.
What about shell casings? Would you look for that too?
Sure.
Because you didn't mention that. That would be something, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you take your duties as a law enforcement officer seriously, Sergeant?
I do.
You do. And because of that, you make your best effort to perform your duties to the best of your ability.
Correct.
And you do, in fact, the best to perform these functions carefully.
Yes.
And you're a sergeant, right?
Yes.
I mean, very distinguished position, yeah?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you pay attention to detail, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, you get called to a shooting scene. You guys had flashlights too, right?
Correct.
Searchlights? You know what you're looking for, right?
Correct.
On November 6, 2021 at 10:27 p.m., you had received a report of shots fired, right?
Correct.
And you responded to the area of Selma and East Delmar.
Correct.
And you were wearing your body camera, I think that was established, right?
Yes, sir.
And you reported that.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, fellow officers reported video as well.
Correct.
And you, in turn, reported your fellow officers' activity.
Right.
You exited your car around 10:31.
Can't independently recall, but if it shows that on the timestamp, that timestamp's accurate. There's no reason to believe it's not.
Exactly. Right. Timestamp's accurate.
Correct.
Okay. And your car was parked next to that parking lot on East Delmar?
Yes.
Right. And after exiting your car, you walked southbound on East Delmar
Correct.
towards the stop sign on the corner there, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then you just walked into that parking lot with all those cars, right?
Yes, sir.
By the way, there was no damage to any of those cars that you found, right?
Not that we saw, no.
You were looking, right? You guys were looking.
Yes, sir.
And once you were in the parking lot, according to your body cam footage, you walked from one end of it to the other.
Correct.
As you did that, you had your flashlight on.
Sure.
All right. And you saw from your body cam footage, other officers had their flashlights on.
Correct.
Now, at one point from your body cam footage, you were looking at the windshield of the vehicle with your flashlight, right?
The rear windshield on the red car?
Yeah.
Yes.
You were searching for signs of shooting, right?
Correct.
All right. You didn't find any broken glass?
No.
No damaged cars?
No.
No bullet holes?
No.
You established no shell casings?
Correct.
No blood?
Correct.
In fact, you didn't find any signs of shooting, right?
Correct.
Now, I think you said there have been times you responded to a reported shooting only to find that the person who made the call intentionally lied about it, right?
Right, like the false report of emergency or
Yeah.
somebody suffering from an illness.
Yes.
Right.
So that would be intentional lie, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you'd agree that if someone misreports a shooting that never really happened, you wouldn't expect to find any evidence of it when you get there, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, your own body cam footage ended at 22:33:16, meaning 10:33 and 16 seconds, right?
Okay.
But you still remained on the scene after that was turned off, right?
Well, I can't remember, but if I'm turning it off, it's because I've concluded what I need to do, and then I'm leaving.
Well, after searching the parking lot, you searched the street as well.
Are you saying after I went into the parking lot, I exited?
Exactly.
I don't remember if I did. I'm going off my body worn.
Okay, well, I'm going to help refresh your recollection if I can. Okay. Who was that officer with that name that I mispronounced badly? Brian?
You
You too. Okay.
Kijevix? Yeah.
Okay, Kijevix.
We'll call him Brian.
There's a J, a B, and an X all in there?
Right, yeah.
Okay. Him. So, Brian.
Right.
Officer Brian.
Yes.
I want to show you the body cam footage that's been marked as defense exhibit A for identification.
Is there audio?
There it is.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a transcript?
Maybe shut the sound off.
We don't need it. It's not going to sound. We don't need the audio portion of it. It's just for visual.
What? Defense A. Thank you.
Now, directing you to 22:35:50, 20 seconds into this video. Hold on 1 second. Is that it?
Right there.
Good then? Yeah. So that's 22:35:50, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's whatever it is.
10:35 p.m.
Thank you much. 20 seconds into the video. Do you recognize yourself on it?
I do.
Okay. So you did go to the street after the parking lot, right?
Yes.
And at that point, your body camera is off?
I can't remember if it's on or off, if there's an additional video you want me to watch, but again, this was 4 years ago.
No, I understand. I know. But you talked about it for the first time today with the prosecutor, right?
Correct.
All right. Did you see any of your body cam footage today when you talked about it for the first time, displaying what you're looking at?
My own video?
Yeah.
Yes.
Showing that car?
No, not this.
Right. I know you saw your video from before that we all saw, right?
Right.
But you don't see any of your body cam footage showing this, right?
No.
Okay. But that is you, right?
It is, yes.
And that video truly and accurately reflects your activities during the search of the scene on November 6, 2021, correct?
Correct.
You and I both as defense exhibit A.
You already have it marked.
Offering
I'm
it
sorry,
to
what are you
evidence.
doing?
I identified it and I'm offering it. Offering it to evidence.
It's evidence?
Yes, sir.
Any objections?
Evidence would not move something into evidence until the case is
That's
recorded.
true. There can be a motion to admit evidence at any time as long as there is a foundation and it's relevant and visible. Do you have an objection now as to foundation or relevance?
No, I don't.
Defense A is admitted.
Now the street shown there, sir, right behind you. Sure. Oh, you have a little camera screen there.
So this is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, put that here.
Very small company.
Sure.
Attack at the end.
It's time. Okay. Ding. We'll continue.
All right. Well, we're going to have to recess now, sir.
Sure.
So we're going to come back on Tuesday,
Okay.
10:30 in the morning.
10:30, all right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming in today.
All right.
No, it's off.